Okay, taking apart the valve to check and clean it out. First, what I did is put 2 pieces of aluminum on the vise in order not to damage the end of the threaded part of the valve shaft. You first remove this part here, which is all glued together. Then you have a little leather ring that you can remove with some tweezers. Set that aside, that will be reused. And then you unscrew the button off of it. Put that aside, it will be reused. And then comes the bake light with the bushing in it. Then you have the valve seat goes there. That will be to be cleaned. And then you have the valve itself, which I squeeze between the 2 aluminum bars. Take a good pair of regular pliers and grab, there's a first ring here, twist it while pulling on it and it slides relatively easy out. Then you have another sleeve which itself also slides out quite easy. And now you're left with the valve itself. You remove that by sliding it out as a unit. Now this comprises, you have, I'll try to get it into focus, you have one felt which has a little leather ring in the back of it. That will be reused. And then you have one nickel plated brass shim or backing plate that has to be cleaned before it's put back. Then you have one felt which will be reused. Then you have the leather valve itself that has to be checked for on the smooth surface which goes on the valve facing for bumps or whatever can distort it so that it doesn't make a good seal. This one appears to be in good condition. And then you have the last little steel or plated backing plate. What I do is I just take a clean rag and just wipe whatever dirt's on it. Sometimes they have some oxidization deposit on it, and once it's clean it's ready to be put back on the shaft. Put that back on the shaft, check to see if it's warped before. The leather valve itself, I just squeeze the inside of the hole a bit to try and get it to sit a bit more tight on the shaft. Once that is done, you slide it back, and then comes the felt. Check it, make sure that it's well clean, no deposits on it. Put that back on the shaft. Then you have the backing plate itself, also has to be wiped clean. And put that back in. And then you have the 2 little sealing rings, the felt and the rubber, the leather one. Whoop, the leather one just slipped out. Grab it, I'll put it by itself. They're very delicate, so you have to be very careful sliding it back on the shaft. And then the felt one. There, now you're ready to slip the rings back in. the stopper rings. Same principle, applying pressure and wiggling side to side, and it slides back in place. Once you reach the valve, check for valve play, so you're able to jiggle it a little bit in case the shaft wobbles, but don't put it in too tight like that. It's good. And then there's the other backing plate for the other side of the valve, the backing sleeve. That has to be adjusted. I made myself a gauge in which I slide in to make sure that they're all adjusted to the same distance there. And then you put the little leather backing sleeve like so. This is also delicate, so be careful. And then you put the back side of the other end of the valve, which I squeezed the center a bit, and that goes back in here. And there you have it. That's the valve part. What I do is I always, once I'm done, go to the other side of the workbench. I have my setup to check for valve leakage, which is this thing here. I set the valve on it, and then I take a vacuum pump. I'll try to center the gauge. I'll back it out a bit. Can't. So anyway, I pump it to make sure that the valve is seating right. And then, I don't know if you'll be able to see, they're like this. You can see that it's pretty well tight. It's going in, going in, going in. There, it's back to zero. So it takes about 3 seconds for it, but it's not a bad leak. And what is rest is to put the wooden knob back on and the seat itself, and you're done.